Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of cybersecurity careers, specifically because you, our awesome listeners, wanted it.
That's right. We've got three super interesting articles to explore.
We sure do. First up, we have 5 cybersecurity career paths
Hmm.
and how to get started. It's by Coursera staff.
Sounds promising. What else do we have?
Okay, so then there's 5 cybersecurity career paths, a roadmap to your first role by G4G4M3L.
And where is that one from?
That was over on Hack the Box.
Okay, cool.
And last but not least, we've got 7 cybersecurity career paths worth investigating in 2025 by Oliemi Agbalai from Springboard.
3 articles all about cybersecurity careers. It looks like we've got our work cut out for us.
Definitely. But I'm excited to dive in, especially since this is such a hot topic right now.
It's not just hot, it's critical. I mean, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts cybersecurity jobs will grow by 32% by 2032.
Seriously, that much?
Yep, and get this, there are an estimated 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity positions out there right now by 2025.
Wow. Those numbers are mind-blowing. It sounds like there's a huge opportunity here for anyone interested in this field.
Exactly. And the articles highlight that a lot of cybersecurity pros don't actually start in specifically security-focused roles.
Oh, that's interesting.
It makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Think of it like building a house. You need a strong foundation before you start adding all the fancy features.
I like that analogy.
Right. In cybersecurity, that foundation is a solid understanding of general IT.
So things like programming, networking, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Programming, networking, system administration, even cloud computing. These are all essential for a successful cybersecurity career.
That's actually really reassuring for anyone thinking about switching careers. You don't have to start from scratch if you've already got some IT experience.
Exactly. And what's really encouraging is that there are so many different paths you can take within cybersecurity.
That's right. I noticed both Coursera and Hack the Box mention 5 common paths, while Springboard goes a bit further with 7.
So let's dive into those paths. First up, we've got engineering and architecture.
Ooh, that sounds pretty technical.
It is. These are the people who build and implement security systems. They really need to understand the ins and outs of threats and vulnerabilities.
It sounds like a perfect fit for someone who loves technology and puzzles.
Definitely. Imagine being a security architect, responsible for the entire security infrastructure of an organization. That's a big responsibility.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. Then we have incident response, which seems like a completely different animal.
You could say that. This is all about action and reaction. You're the one who jumps in after a breach has happened.
Like a digital detective.
Exactly. You're doing damage control, figuring out how the attack happened, fixing vulnerabilities, and gathering evidence to prevent future incidents.
So if engineering and architecture is about building the fortress, incident response is about defending it when it's under attack.
That's a great way to put it. Both roles are super important for maintaining strong security.
Absolutely. Now, what about those who love leading and coordinating?
Well, for them, there's the management and administration path. This is where you'll find the CISOs, the Chief Information Security Officers.
Yeah, PISOs. That sounds like a pretty high-level position.
It is. They oversee the entire security strategy, policies, and budgets for their organization.
So they're basically responsible for keeping the whole organization safe from cyber threats.
That's right. It's a huge responsibility that requires strong leadership skills and a deep understanding of the cybersecurity landscape.
It sounds like a role you work your way up to, right?
Definitely. It often starts with roles like security analyst or security manager, allowing you to gain experience and move up the ladder.
Okay, so we've got the builders, the responders, and the leaders. What about people who love variety and helping others?
Consulting might be the perfect fit. As a consultant, you're brought in by companies to assess their systems and find vulnerabilities.
So like a cybersecurity doctor, diagnosing problems and prescribing solutions.
Exactly. It requires not only technical skills, but also strong communication skills.
You've got to be able to explain those techie things to non-techie people, right?
Absolutely. And finally, there's the path that always seems to capture everyone's imagination. Testing and hacking, or, more accurately, ethical hacking.
Ah, the one that gets all the attention.
Right. Ethical hackers use their skills to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
So they're like the good guys in the hacking world.
Exactly. They use their powers for good instead of evil, and they get paid for it.
I bet it's super satisfying to know you're preventing cyber attacks before they even happen.
It definitely takes a unique combination of technical skills, creativity, and a passion for problem solving.
It sounds like a digital puzzle, always trying to stay one step ahead of the bad guys.
You got it. And speaking of puzzles, have you ever tried a capture the flag competition?
I haven't, but I've heard they're a great way to test your cybersecurity skills and learn from others. Would you recommend them?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic way to gain practical experience, work as part of a team, and put your knowledge to the test in a fun and challenging environment.
Plus, you get bragging rights if you win.
Exactly. Now, remember we talked about those 5 common paths? Well, Springboard adds a couple more to the mix. Auditing and governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC.
Okay, so what's auditing all about?
Think of it like the cybersecurity police, making sure everyone is following the rules and regulations.
So not just preventing attacks, but making sure organizations are following proper security protocols.
Exactly. It's about protecting sensitive data and ensuring compliance.
Got it. And GRC, what's that all about?
It's about aligning cybersecurity with overall business goals.
So it's not just a technical issue, it's a business issue as well.
Exactly. GRC professionals help organizations manage risk, ensure compliance, and integrate cybersecurity into their overall strategy.
It sounds like a more strategic role looking at the big picture.
You got it. And these additional paths highlight the diversity of roles in cybersecurity. It's not just about technical skills, it's also about communication, leadership, and even legal and compliance knowledge.
It's fascinating how multifaceted this field really is, like a whole ecosystem working together to protect our digital world.
Exactly. And it's an ecosystem that's constantly evolving with new threats and technologies popping up all the time.
That brings us to a point Springboard makes. It's really important to consider your personal preferences and the job market when choosing a cybersecurity path. They talk about this guy, Chigozie Asikaburu, who went from computer science to cybersecurity research.
It's really interesting because he didn't just fall into cybersecurity. He actively figured out what he liked, what he was good at, and what the job market looked like before making the switch.
It's like anything else in life. You get out what you put in. If you're passionate about cybersecurity and willing to learn, you can absolutely find a rewarding career.
Absolutely. Springboard also points out there's no one-size-fits-all approach to cybersecurity careers. They mention a video by Sandra who really digs into the decisions you'll face along the way.
That makes sense. There's so many options to consider. Certifications, practical experience, what kind of company to work for.
It's about finding what works for you, your learning style, and your career goals. There's no right or wrong answer, but it's important to know your options.
And it's cool how they emphasize soft skills alongside technical expertise. Communication, problem solving, critical thinking, they're all super important.
You're right, you can have all the technical skills in the world, but if you can't communicate or work with others, you'll struggle.
It's like you need to be able to explain complex stuff to non-technical people, work well in teams, and even think like a hacker to stay ahead of them.
Exactly. Speaking of thinking like a hacker, reminds me of this one time when I was doing a penetration test.
Oh, a story. I love stories. Tell me more.
Well, it involved a really tricky vulnerability in a web application.
Ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, it turned out the developer had accidentally left a back door open, and I was able to get into the whole system.
Whoa, that's kind of scary. It's
Yeah.
amazing how one little mistake can have such huge security implications.
It really shows how important ethical hacking and penetration testing are.
For sure. So speaking of security, I'm curious about the money part of cybersecurity. I mean, with all this demand and specialized skills, I'd imagine it pays pretty well.
You're right. All 3 articles mention that cybersecurity professionals get paid well even when they're just starting out. And as you gain more experience and specialize, those salaries can really climb.
I was looking at Coursera, and they actually give some average salary numbers. It says a junior cybersecurity analyst could make around $91,286 in 2023.
Not bad at all.
Right. And a security architect could earn over $211,207.
Those are some enticing figures for sure. But it's important to remember that salary isn't everything.
True, true. It's also about finding a job that you actually enjoy and that aligns with your interests.
Exactly. Job satisfaction, work-life balance, opportunities for growth, those are all important factors too.
Absolutely. So let's say someone is super inspired and wants to jump into a cybersecurity career.
Mhm.
Where do they even begin? Is there a specific degree or something you need?
That's a great question. And the good news is there's no one right way to get into this field. All 3 articles really stress that you need to think about what you're interested in, what you're good at, and how you like to learn.
So you don't necessarily need a computer science degree or to be a coding expert right away.
Not necessarily. While some roles might require a four-year degree, you can also get into the field through boot camps, online courses, or even by teaching yourself.
What about certifications? I see those mentioned a lot in cybersecurity. Are those like a must-have or more of a bonus?
They can be really valuable, especially in a field like cybersecurity where things are constantly changing.
Because technology is always evolving and there are always new threats popping up.
Exactly. Certifications show that you're keeping up with industry best practices.
Like a way to prove you know your stuff.
That's it. And some jobs, especially those involving government contracts or sensitive data, might actually require certain certifications.
So it's not just about collecting as many certifications as possible.
No, it's about choosing the ones that make sense for your career goals and will actually help you learn new skills.
Makes sense. So let's say you've got the education, the skills, maybe even some certifications. What's next? How do you actually land that dream cybersecurity job?
Well, that's where networking and job searching come in. And luckily, all our sources give some great advice on this.
Like what?
They all emphasize the importance of building your network, going to industry events, connecting with people on LinkedIn, even reaching out to people you admire for informational interviews.
So putting yourself out there, making connections.
Exactly. And it's not just about collecting business cards, it's about building real relationships and learning from others.
And of course, you need a killer resume and cover letter that showcase your skills and tailor them to the specific jobs you're after.
Right. Your resume and cover letter are your first impression, so you want to make them count. Show what you bring to the table and how your skills can benefit the company.
And don't forget to practice your interview skills. I bet cybersecurity interviews can get pretty technical.
They can. But with some preparation and practice, you can ace them. And once you land that job, that's when the real learning begins.
It's like you've reached the top of the mountain, but now you're exploring a whole new world.
Cybersecurity is a field that requires continuous learning and development.
Because new threats are always popping up and technology is constantly evolving.
Exactly. It's like a never-ending game of cat and mouse with the attackers. You've got to keep learning and adapting to stay ahead. That's what keeps things exciting and challenging.
It's also really rewarding knowing you're helping to protect people and organizations from cyber attacks.
Absolutely. You're making a real difference in the world and contributing to a safer digital landscape.
It's like being a digital superhero.
Aha, I love that analogy. One of the articles also talks about having a strong ethical compass in cybersecurity.
Right. With all that power and knowledge, it's super important to use it responsibly.
Cybersecurity professionals have a responsibility to use their skills for good to protect people and follow ethical standards.
So it's not just about technical ability. It's about integrity and using your skills to benefit society.
Absolutely. One thing that struck me was the sheer amount of knowledge and skills you need in cybersecurity. It's not just about coding or hacking, it's about understanding networks, operating systems, applications, data security, risk management, compliance. The list goes on and on.
Wow, it's like you need to be a master of everything.
In a way, yeah. And that's why continuous learning is so crucial in this field. Cybersecurity is constantly evolving, and the best professionals are the ones who are always learning and staying ahead of the curve.
So you're always a student, which is actually pretty cool. You're never bored, you're always challenged, and you're always learning new things.
That's one of the things I love most about cybersecurity. It keeps you on your toes, pushes you to think creatively, and rewards you for being curious.
Speaking of rewards, let's go back to salaries for a minute. We know cybersecurity professionals are in high demand and get paid well. But does the salary change depending on the job or industry?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. Salaries can vary a lot based on things like experience, location, industry, and even the specific responsibilities of the job.
So it's not just about having cybersecurity in your job title. It's about the specific skills and experience you bring.
Precisely. For example, someone who's an expert in cloud security might get paid more than someone with a more general cybersecurity background.
And someone working in a field where data security is super important, like finance, might earn more than someone in a less security-sensitive sector.
Exactly. It's like any other job market. Supply and demand, specialized skills, and the value you bring all play a role.
So you really need to research the specific roles and industries you're interested in to understand the salary ranges and career paths.
Definitely. So imagine someone is ready to dive into a cybersecurity career. What are some practical steps they can take?
Yeah, where do you even start?
All three articles highlight the same key things: building a solid foundation of knowledge, getting the right education and training, developing both technical and soft skills, getting industry certifications, and gaining practical experience.
It sounds like a pretty comprehensive approach.
It is. And they also emphasize the importance of having a strong work ethic, a commitment to ethical behavior, and a genuine passion for cybersecurity.
It sounds like you need the right mindset to really succeed.
Absolutely. Cybersecurity isn't just a job, it's a calling. It's about protecting our digital world and making sure technology is used responsibly.
I love that. It's like being a guardian of the digital realm, a defender of data. What an awesome mission.
I couldn't agree more. And that mission is becoming more and more important as we become more connected and reliant on technology.
Speaking of technology, these articles keep bringing up how fast cybersecurity is changing. New threats are always appearing, and technology keeps evolving. How can someone stay ahead of the game and make sure their skills stay relevant?
That's a crucial question, and it highlights the importance of continuous learning in cybersecurity.
You can't just get a degree or a certification and call it a day, right?
Right. You need to keep learning and adapting to stay ahead of the curve, especially with the constantly changing threats. Luckily, there are tons of resources available to help cybersecurity professionals stay up to date.
Like what?
Well, you've got online courses, certifications, industry conferences, workshops. There are so many opportunities to learn and grow your skills.
It's like a never-ending buffet of cybersecurity knowledge.
Aha, I like that. And it's not just about formal learning either. Staying curious, reading industry publications, following cybersecurity experts on social media, and participating in online communities are all super helpful.
So you've got to immerse yourself in the world of cybersecurity and make it a part of your life.
Exactly. The more you expose yourself to new ideas, technologies, and threats, the better prepared you'll be.
It's like being a lifelong student, always learning and challenging yourself to grow.
That's what makes cybersecurity so rewarding. You're never bored, you're always learning, and you're always making a difference.
One of the articles asks a really interesting question. Given how fast technology is evolving and how sophisticated cyber threats are becoming, what new cybersecurity roles might we see in the future?
That's a great question. It really makes us think outside the box and imagine what the future of cybersecurity might hold.
Right. And I bet our listeners have some awesome ideas. Maybe we'll even share some of them in a future episode.
That's a great idea. But for now, our listeners can think about that question on their own.
It's like planting a seed of curiosity. What amazing cybersecurity solutions might the future hold?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the future of cybersecurity is bright, and it's full of opportunities for anyone who's ready for the challenge.
So true. So to wrap things up, I feel like we've really explored the ins and outs of cybersecurity careers in this deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground. Different career paths, the skills and education you need, earning potential, the importance of continuous learning. We've really looked at this fascinating field from every angle.
We've also talked about some really important stuff like ethics, collaboration, and the ever-changing nature of cyber threats.
It's been a really insightful and inspiring conversation, and I hope our listeners are feeling energized and ready to tackle building a successful cybersecurity career.
Me too. Remember, cybersecurity is more than just a job. It's a calling. It's about making a difference, protecting our digital lives, and creating a safer future for everyone.
Perfectly said. So a big thank you to everyone for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of cybersecurity career paths.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on learning.
See you on our next deep dive.